This is Mac OS Ken.
Light with a chance of hardware. Positive-ish notes from Wall Street. And Amazon steps to Apple Music Live. It is Tuesday, the 18th of October, 2022. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring at simplisafe.com/macOSCan. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSCan. Checking the forecast where you are, it'll be light out at some point with a chance of new hardware. Apple Insider points us to a couple of Twitter posts from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman. The first, on Saturday, had the Gurmanator saying, Apple is launching the next iPad Pro with M2 very soon. That was followed by a tweet Monday afternoon on the West Coast, Monday night back east, saying, in case it wasn't obvious with the days away wording from Saturday, the launch should be tomorrow, which is now today. Light out with a chance of new hardware. Another call for a good September quarter from Apple. I told you yesterday of Credit Suisse analyst Shannon Cross raising her Apple Q4 fiscal year 22 revenue and earnings per share expectations. That's on the back of strong sales of the iPhone 14 Pro phones. Now, Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani has written a note that's maybe a tiny bit more bullish. While Cross sees good things for last quarter, she's actually lowered her expectation for fiscal year 23 and 24, though she has maintained her outperform rating on Apple shares and her price target of $190. But in his note, part of which was published by Apple 3.0, Daryanani sees strength not only for last quarter, but maybe for this quarter as well. For last quarter, he is jazzed by sales of the Pro end of the iPhone 14 line. For the current quarter, he's turned on by timing. For the December quarter, says his note, the street is modeling $89 billion in revenue and $1.26 earnings per share, implying 2% year-on-year growth. We think there could be upside here, given an extra week could alone add several hundred basis points to revenues. Last time an extra week added about 4% to December quarter growth. Even without that extra week, he and his think Wall Street is underestimating the rise in average selling prices for Apple. That said, there are worries ahead in his estimation. He thinks Mac and iPad sales could miss September quarter expectations, though Daryanani thinks strength in iPhone might make up for that. Services are a weird one, looking like both a negative and a positive. Growth for that segment has slowed, but Evercore seems to think that has been overblown by many. While some on the street are looking for growth in Apple services in the mid to low single digits, Daryanani thinks those will come in at about 9% growth. Foreign exchange remains a headwind in Daryanani's estimation, though he and his believe there will be some offset as Apple secures concessions from suppliers due to lower commodity prices and strong dollar. Daryanani has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $190. News of another positive-ish note from another Apple follower. Barron's has word of one from Morgan Stanley analyst Eric Woodring. He still likes Apple above all tech stocks, though that's kind of a tough category to like right now. Hats off to Barron's Eric J. Savitt for the following paragraph. The sharp drop in sales of personal computer and consumer electronics in recent quarters augurs poorly for stocks in the computer hardware sector, Morgan Stanley analyst Eric Woodring cautioned in a research note Monday. He chopped earnings and estimates and price targets across the board for all of the stocks he covers. It's not just consumers who have slowed electronics consumption, but the enterprise as well. With cuts in IT spending budgets ahead of a potential recession, the piece has Woodring seeing ebbing demand for PCs, printers, servers, and storage. He ebbs, he augurs. Really digging Savitt's prose. Hey, what do Cricut, HP, Logitech, Seagate, Xerox, CDW, Vivint Smart Home, SmartRent, GoPro, Teradata, Sonos, Garmin, Snap One Holdings, Residio, NCR, and Apple all have in common? They all got their price targets anywhere from shaved to shorn by Woodring on Monday. Apple was on the shaved side. As for Apple, says the Barron's piece, Woodring doesn't see the company as entirely immune from a weakening consumer spending environment, but he adds that his channel checks find that demand has held up better than expected in recent months. Like Evercore's Darianani, Woodring actually sees strong September and December quarters coming from Apple. That said, 12 months is a long way out. Though Apple is still his top pick in tech, he cut his price target on the company's shares from $180 to $177. Something of a hiccup in Apple's supply chain plans. A Nikkei Asia report says the Cupertino company has had to scrap plans to buy NAND flash memory from China's Yangtze Memory Technologies company. This after Yangtze was added to a watch list by the U.S. government. We first heard of Apple's interest in NAND from Yangtze back in the spring. I'd said then that stories seemed both weird and not weird for several reasons. On the not weird side, adding a brand new supplier would mean diversifying the supply chain. That could be good either to combat zero COVID policies that fouled up manufacturing for the first half of this year, or to keep pressure on NAND makers that were already in Apple's supply chain. Actually, that might have been more and rather than either or. Putting the deal firmly on the weird side, though, were ongoing tensions between China and the U.S. And weird seems to win. Or lose, maybe. Nikkei Asia says the move to nix the deal comes amid the latest round of U.S. export controls imposed against the Chinese tech sector, and is a sign that Washington's crackdown is creating a chilling effect down the supply chain. While Apple is not technically precluded from using Yangtze NAND, the report says U.S. companies are prohibited from sharing any design technologies, documents, or specifications to companies on the list to which Yangtze was added without a special license. Additionally, the list on which the chipmaker landed is said by one expert to be sort of a rest stop on the way to the official export control blacklist. Also, there was a threat. Citing a report in the Financial Times, a piece from the South China Morning Post on the issue says Marco Rubio, Republican vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, warned Apple that it would face intense scrutiny like it has never seen from the federal government if it used memory made by Yangtze, which pose security risks. One wonders what this will mean for future iPhone prices. Yangtze's NAND is said to be 20% less expensive than NAND made by its rivals. While Apple originally planned to use the Yangtze memory only in iPhones sold in China, Nikkei says the company had hoped that Yangtze NAND might eventually fill 40% of future iPhone orders. Neither Apple nor Yangtze offered comment for the Nikkei piece. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Simply Safe, the right way to protect your home. Who knows your home better than you do? One of the things that I love about Simply Safe is how much you put into making it work. What do you need? One outdoor camera, a couple of indoor cameras, no cameras but maybe extra door and window sensors? Your home is different than everybody else's, which is why Simply Safe lets you pick and choose exactly what you need to keep it safe. And getting it set up is super simple. I had my door sensors, keypad, and base station set up in under an hour. Now, once your work is done, SimpliSafe goes to work with 24-hour professional monitoring. They are ready to send help the moment it is needed, whether you're sleeping soundly at home, working away at work, or vacationing miles away. Monitoring plans start at less than $1 a day, with no long-term contracts and no hidden fees. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/macOSKen. Go today and claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring. SIMPLI. Go to simplysafe.com/macOSKen. Is your iPhone 14 giving you a SIM not supported message? It's not just you. Not only is that a thing that's happening to people, a piece from Mac Rumors says Apple has acknowledged that that is a thing that's happening to people. On iPhone 14, apparently up and down the line, Mac Rumors has Apple saying in a memo that, yep, someone on any one of those iPhone 14 models out there may get a message on screen that says, SIM not supported. After that, the piece says, the device may freeze entirely. What should you do if this happens to you? Pray, apparently, or meditate and hope for the best. According to Mac Rumors, Apple's first advice is be patient. Wait a few minutes and see if the message just goes away by itself. If it doesn't, Apple emphasizes that users should not try restoring the phone. Rather, the piece says affected people should head to an Apple store or Apple-authorized service provider. Meanwhile, the company is said to be investigating the issue. Apple Music Live has a bit of competition. A piece from TechCrunch says Amazon is launching a live stream concert series cleverly titled Amazon Music Live. According to the report, next Thursday, the 27th of October at 9 p.m. Pacific, Amazon will launch the series, which features rapper 2 Chainz as the host, and performances by artists Lil Baby, Megan Thee Stallion, and Kane Brown. That's 3 shows, by the way, week after week after week. Unlike the live offering from Apple Music, which seems to hit about once a month, Amazon Music Live will hit once a week, according to the report. So it's Lil Baby on Thursday, the 27th of October, followed by Megan Thee Stallion on Thursday, the 3rd of November, and Kane Brown on Thursday, the 10th. And finally today, as the NBA takes the court, you can too, on your iPhone. Mac Rumors says NBA 2K23 hits Apple Arcade today, alongside the start of the 2022-23 NBA season. Announced last month, this year's edition comes with a greatest mode, letting players go toe-to-toe with NBA greats of yesterday and today to see who's really the greatest finisher, shooter, playmaker, or defenseman in the NBA. Additionally, Mac Rumors says the game still has an association mode, tasking players with managing an NBA roster by making trades, signing free agents, scouting up-and-coming prospects, and controlling their team's finances. You can even make up your own custom player to play out a My Career mode. Honestly, I think that should end with a chain of boutique clothing stores, a run for office, or a development deal with Apple TV+. Either way, if you like basketball, should be cool. The game is expected to go live in Apple Arcade today. Once it does, tip-off is whenever you want. Today on the Mac Observer's Daily Observations podcast, what might have been. TMO managing editor Jeff Butts and I will talk over the implosion of the Apple YMTC NAND deal. Plus, South Korea is moving state-issued IDs to the blockchain. Listen as Jeff tries to make me understand. That is all today on the Daily Observations podcast from the Mac Observer, online at macobserver.com or wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring at simplisafe.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.